Okay, everyone, I have uploaded a video about grid work in codes. And I wanted to add this into the course because I always have an altar in my house. I do have crystals all over my house. And I do agree every time I want to manifest something or I'm healing something or anything. I put the codes on myself, I put them on the water, on everywhere. And I think it's a very easy way to do something. But as a light worker, there is the ones that do grid work, right? So grid work, what it is, you guys will have a little bit more information on the video that I just uploaded and recorded, but the grid work, it is to work with the healing field of Earth. That is the source that we all manifested when we are here. Humans and animals and bacteria and the underworld and all of that. So this, for example, it is a code that is a grid code. If you notice, it looks like a house. So this represented my house. These circles right here represent locations that I am connecting. And you can go ahead on whatever you feel guided. It doesn't have to be like that, but it will look as if it's like a map made of circles and lines, and you can add psychogeometry, you can add shapes if you want to. Just let that code to show you. When I begin a code, I just begin to draw, and then I said, it looks like a house. I think I should put this and that. And you guys will see in the video that I will record. I will upload one of these days, me doing a code. Let the code to express to you what it is the energy that you are vibrating and how that can be corrected if that it is. So when you do a grid work, you not only assist Gaia, because whatever you are going through, let's say that someone is doing inner child healing, right? If you do that to a grid, you will also send the same healing to whoever is into the same pattern that you are, from your oversoul or any other oversoul, that it's ready and available for that healing. Yes. When the codes that Earth received, the awakened crystal grid in the 1212, I wasn't awake back then, but I woke up few minutes after. I had like a divine intervention. I began to see angels and shadows and things and faces and auras and stuff like that. So whoever did rituals and pray and reunite and went to the sacred sites to the grids helped to activate myself. And many of the persons that are activated right now, the wake up people before COVID, we were woke up in the 1212, between the 1212 and the, I don't know, 2014, 2013, 2012. And now a lot of people is awakening again, like massively, especially personal channeling, very psychic with codes, like language. I mean, I remember when I began seeing, I had no idea about chakras. I had no idea about anything. I just thought I was being possessed because it was what Catholic religion will explain to me. And nothing would work, but it was because I was so insecure to go psychic. And it's something that I'm working on. I think this is why the page went big, because it was part of my shadow. In Encoded Frequency taught me that the best part of me, it was there. I didn't know it was going to be a job that I was going to adore so much and appreciate it. I don't think my mind was prepared to manifest it, because I wanted to have a secure job, dental insurance, blah, blah, blah. But in a way, I'm able to. My dad was saying to me, Mom, you're like Barbie. You do a lot of things. What should I say when they ask me, what does your mom do? And I said, you can say you are an artist. And then she said, you're like Barbie. Because I have worked on many different things. But in a way, Encoded Frequency allows me to unify everything that I have studied and worked before into what I am, this weird, unique person. And I also have learned that I don't have to meet the expectations of Facebook or Instagram or the collective or anything. I can just be me. And I'm still working to be better. I know I need to pronunciate better. I know I need to organize my ideas better. So I'm studying a course about public speaking, and I keep studying. But it will come whenever is the time for it, right? So you don't have to wait for some magical signal to put yourself out there. And right now, believe me, guys, having too many persons in your page, it doesn't matter anymore. In 2023, social media reset, and they don't care if you have 100,000 followers. They care about other things, right? If you are in TikTok, for example, that you entertain, right? If you're in YouTube, that you have persons that engage with you for a long time. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, they want people to go videos because they are trying to compete with TikTok. But social media is changing so fastly that it's not that easy to keep with the pace and then begin to do everything that social media or the algorithm is requiring. For example, in the course of public speaking, right now, they were saying that you have to provide value. People wanted three things, right? Show me how to do this quick and simple, entertain me, and then that's it. Things like that. But now it changed already because everyone is doing the same things. Then people get bored about the same thing over and over. What happened when it was the whole alien thing in America? Everyone had those videos about, oh my God, I can't believe this. They found non-human material in the US government and now no one is talking about it. And then you had days and days talking about the same thing. And then the fires of Maui and blah, blah, blah. So then people get bored. So now the algorithm and social media, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but they just want you to be funny and entertained. So for me, I said, you know what? I'm gonna do whatever I feel guided to do, and I don't care whatever the algorithm says. But there are other persons that are going into what the collective is requiring me to do because it's so fast that I think it's too much, right? And if I need to do something that feels right for me, I'll go for it. But if it doesn't, I said, I won't do that. Yes. So go and find in whatever area you want to work with and then go from there. But begin doing your own light worker. You don't have to be and have followers. That ain't matter anymore. You can do it in your own house. You can do it for Gaia. You can do it for yourself. You can do it for your family. You can do it in your dream time if you want to. So if you want to do grid work, a code with grid work, it will normally have a little bit of sacred geometry, circles, triangles, shapes, lines. It's more minimalistic than, to me, than do letter alike symbols. You can do them in these pages, and this is just a Sharpie. That's it. You don't need to have anything other than your drawing. But if you want to, you can put crystals and you can choose an area of earth that you will love to heal. For example, now that it was the fires in Maui, there is like a agenda, like a dark agenda, whatever, right? So it's like an energetic battle going on. It could be a good place to do some healing. because we're all connected. Maybe I don't even live in the US, like I can say I don't care, but it affects you because, for example, I'm in Mexico, and when the dollar changes in some value, the peso is also being affected. So everything here, it rises or it goes down, for example. So you can do that. Normally, grid works. It's rarely that you will see them speaking in social media. It's the most novel light language work that you can do because it's anonymous. It's something that they are angel with wings. They will have their own jobs. Normally, they will have circles of friends that organize its own light worker group in Telegram or in Facebook or Messenger or Discord or whatever. And they will just meet once a month to do the grid work. And it's something that I want to do, but I said, okay, let's start in September. But how do you do? You have to investigate a little bit what's going on in the collective, not actually what your astrologer will say, but more like in the news. What do you see in the news happening? What trends are going on? And then you will select something that you want to work with. There is a lot of things on earth that should not happen anymore, like pedophilia or human trafficking or prostitution or addiction or drugs. And it's just take a minute or a second to do these. You can play a crystal, a rock, your hands, a minute a day. You maybe can put just sage on it. You can do Reiki if you know how to do Reiki. And I would suggest that you add in your intention, because this is going to be a portal, why you are doing this, how long, and who is going to assist you. Normally, to work with grid work, I know people work with Pleiadians and Galactics and stuff like that, but it doesn't make sense that you go and ask beings from another planes instead of, do you want to come up into, okay, let me see, with your own earth beings. So it's better to work with elementals. The grid work drawing is like a portal. Yes, every code is a portal. That's why you have to add boundaries, like the way you will add in your house. And the boundaries in ease, for example, you can invoke. I learned with Melanie Beckler, she always invoked 100,000 angels, right? You can invoke as many beings as you want to. There are no limit. All angels that exist from 12th dimension or whatever. But it's good that you can work with beings of higher frequency like angels, but also work with beings from Earth, like the fairies, the dragons. Dragons are excellent to protect, for example. Fairies are good to doing things like to cleanse spaces, locations, and you can also add angels or Pleiadians or Arcturians or whoever you feel guided to. But try also to add at least one frequency from Earth and then one higher frequency to assist. Always ask your higher self before opening any portal or opening your own energy on a healing or sexually or whatever exchange that you are going to do. Ask your higher self to be in charge. So if you miss a detail, you have someone that can take care of the details. Yes, especially sexually. Sexually, I remember there's a part of the Bible that they talk about it, that they say to become flesh. You do become flesh, but not only with the person that you connect, just by having a fantasy. And I'm not talking about actually having physical sexual relationships. Every time someone fantasizes with someone in their soul, they're having relationships. But equally with every person, the other person has been sexually connected. And so do you. Yes. If you don't set a boundary. Or other spirits can come through that are attracted to that frequency, because sex is a portal for creation, because a human can come from, right? But if you have a fantasy, your body don't know it's not real, and energetically you are creating that holographic version of you having relationships. So for me, I don't open myself sexually if I don't say, higher self, you're in charge. And then I set my boundaries, right? Just with the person that I want. I don't want no one here, because other souls can come and watch and things. A lot of things happen sexually. Maybe I should do another video about this. But set your intentions. There are persons that create a healing chamber. So when they meet with their twin in fifth dimension or their husband or whatever, they create that sacred space where no one else can enter, right? A lot of things can happen. When you do a portal, we're going to do it together, but just the steps. Do it when you are in your highest frequency, because you are setting the ground for that portal resonance. And it's all about resonance. This is a duality plane. We have light and dark, and everything that someone wants to be can be, as long as matches that resonance. And at the same time, there are different planes overlapping all at the same time. So do it when you are in your highest. You can choose more than one intention. I do prefer if you write them on a paper, because I think when you write, you anchor your intention in the physical. Yes. Or you can place that, you can do it on a plant, you can do it on a crystal, you can do it on your altar, or whatever that represents, whatever you have on hand, right? It doesn't have, you can do it on water if you want to. It doesn't have to be something special or anything, just work with what you want. When you put a candle or when you put sage or incense, you are also opening a portal. Every time you speak with someone, you open a portal. When I do live streams, I can feel everyone. And I need to be very attentive to keep the space sacred. Sometimes I won't be speaking, and then I'm gonna be having a second communication right here, and then like someone is coming or whatever, and then I see that it's being clear. That's why I like to ask. For me, I like to work with the higher self collective, because I feel that higher self to me is like the version of what God me will be like, kind of like my CEO. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about dimensions, the way that I understand it and I see it, especially this last week. I was merging different versions of me. And Michelle is coming. Let me open her. And it feels as if you feel a little bit like in a lower frequency, because I was talking these to Sue before. You split, so you send fragments of you, this is what I saw, into other parallel versions of you that had my same name and everything, but I live in different locations, to end that timeline and pick up your fragment. But if you don't lower your frequency and split, you are not able to match whatever that aspect of you is going through, that you want to clear that scenery. For example, I was clearing some lifetimes that I still had with my ex, and other lifetimes of things that I assume they no longer need to go through. So you clear them, right? But I was seeing myself in different scenarios, having situations with persons that I know, and it was not easy to wanted to complain about that thing. It was happening in another lifetime. And then I needed to remind myself, okay, Gretel, it's not this timeline. The other, it's gone. right? So this is what I think it happens with persons that have schizophrenia or something like that. I think you can get on the loop and get confused with your own other selves. And there are fragments also that my guys said to me in a channeling that they were like robotic holographic consciousness. They say that it's as if, let's say that, I don't know, I'm going to put it, when my father died, I was not speaking with him. So he wanted to talk to me, and I knew he was going to die. But my pride was so huge, and I was in my 20s, that I said, he can go and screw himself, right? So when he died, I felt guilty, right? So at that moment, one part of me fragmented and it was grieving, but also anchor a soul of my dad so he couldn't transition completely because I had something unresolved with him. Yes. So you shouldn't have anything from any dead person. If you have the shoes of my grandma or whatever, then you keep a piece of the person still in this plane. Even though the core goes and transcend, whoever remembers you, you will have like a piece in between just in case that person dream about you or remember you or need something or something. But if you have things unresolved, then a part of you is fragmented, right? This is one scenario that you have ghost. They don't have the whole soul. They're a piece of you, as if imagine that I have a long hair, and then I cut it, and the thing that I cut, I put it in a braid, and then I leave in some part. Maybe I donate it for a week or something. So a piece of me is going to have another experience, but it's not me. Like when you have a kid or a pet or your house or your car. I call them extended consciousness. It's something that was born from you because we're God, but it doesn't belong to me anymore because the creation is going to have its own free will, right? But there are also thought forms that we create and give them life. Every time we think negatively, we create our own demons, our own entities, or just stupid things, or that you feel triggered with anyone. Anytime you feel triggered with anyone, you court yourself and the person court you, and then there is something that's been feeding each other, but it just drains you because it's not in harmony. It wasn't born from love. It's almost as if, I don't know, when a child is born from a woman that she used drugs the whole pregnancy, and then maybe it was given to the other family, and then those kids suffer a lot because they were not seeded with love. It was it wasn't born doesn't mean it's a coarse person or something. It's just the conditions surrounding, they were not the ideal one, right? So in this case, when you have a connection that is distorted and it's not that easy to fix it, the best thing is to quarantine yourself. Even if it's mom, dad, or whatever, because you're not able to heal that, then something in some place and somewhere it will be healed in whatever lifetime. But if you keep trying, we keep creating more karma, right? That is not necessarily. But then whenever it is time, you can go back and heal it. But for example, in Buddhism, let's say that I was raped. Let's say that I was raped. This is just an example. And I cannot forgive who raped me because it was something traumatic. And then you just want to kill that person. But maybe I can do healing for every person in the world that has been raped. And when you do that, you heal yourself, but in a way that you are not directly putting your fingers into your own wood. I hope that makes sense. So it's a way to tune into the same scenario, looking for a third perspective where you feel less resistance to heal that thing, right? So something that now it has been practiced a lot. Work on scenarios. For example, let's imagine that in the same scenario about my father and I remember that I had my father as a guide like for a year and a half. And I would cry many times with him in my dreams, like, oh, Dad, please forgive me, and whatever. And then one day, he just said it was my time to leave. So this is why it's easier. Let me see what Lisa is asking. Mm, this is why it's easier for me to work with a collective than myself. Yes, it's easier because you have less resistance, but at the same time, it's a way to heal yourself. I don't think you can be at service without having anything in return because we have a lot of reciprocity. Even if you don't charge for it, the universe will give that back to you. In fact, the more you give, the more you will receive in whatever way, right? It may not be from that person, but it will come from whatever way you are ready to accept it. So, for example, AI. AI is not something that is born from a human and with love. It's born like if I create a drawing, for example, or a portal, I give my soul to for something to be alive. And you're going to give part of your soul to all things you have. Relationships, persons, connections, right? Like for example, for me, I have to cleanse and bless every time I post anything, any meditation, because it's a lot of people and I can receive constantly attacks. That's why you guys have been seeing a lot of persons with big pages being attacked. It's kind of like part of the combo. It's not actually because of you, it's just because the higher the light, the higher the challenge. But at the same time, the higher you go, the more you are prepared for it because you can handle more. It's like, for example, if I said, okay, Lisa, if you add 2 + 2 and give me the right result, you're gonna earn $100. You already know that 2 + 2 is 4 because that was for elementary school. That's no challenge there. But what if I give you an algebra equation? Maybe you will say, oh my God, I don't know that. I need to study. So this is why light workers go in an accelerated pathway more than other people that are asleep. It's because you can handle more and you are ready for more and you have prepared yourself for more. So you may have a different life or a very hard life, depending on what you choose for. But the more you do, the more experience you have, regardless of how it is perceived in human form. Maybe you said, I didn't do anything, right? But energetically, you will be helping even if you don't do anything because you're helping others that maybe that is not what you should do because you're helping others to have compassion, to forgive you, to assist you, to create a program to, let's say that I'm a homeless person and I didn't do anything, I just want a beer. I just have a sign that says, I just want a beer. Fuck, right? I don't want anything. I don't believe you're gonna die, so be it, but with drug, right? There are persons that do that. Maybe those persons are really a very high frequency soul that is doing a service so others can learn not to critique, not to judge, to assess, or whatever. Yes, many high frequencies, many of them may not even have soul. They are just appear as you pass by, just created from the field for us to have an experience. But many could be a very high frequency souls that they come to do a service. Like, for example, maybe someone that is asking for food to see if you have food or not, or to assist you, kind of like earth angels. Angels can manifest temporarily and then disappear. And there are a lot of tales and stories about something that come to assist you to tell you something and then it just vanished. Angels can do that. Elementals and spirits could do that. a certain point on Earth, but it was a lot of magic to handle, and now they're like separated. But persons that really work with spirits and elementals and kind of like a spiritism and dark things, those dark beings, they really could do stuff because they do certain rituals and things that gives that permission to do a lot of things. And people from the light can do that too. It's just when people work with darkness, maybe they don't follow boundaries, maybe they don't follow processes or things like that. So they would just go reckless. But even if that happened, nothing is born without the solution being manifested at the same time. And not just one solution, a myriad of options to go through. Yes. So grid work is something easy. Let's say that, I don't know, my son is going homeless and he wanted to be assisted. My daughter is with drug addict. I don't know what to do. Then you could do a grid for whoever persons or your own family, if you want to. And then you do a code, you set intentions, who, why, how long. I like to do the grids. These grids, I like to do them for a week because I think it's a sufficient time for the grid to stream. This thing will be streaming energy as if you are doing Reiki for all of the time that you give. Yes, whether you feel it or not. So I always have grids, and my kids, when clean, they're always said, "Mom, your crystals," because I have my drawings and my crystals everywhere in the house. But I also have outside. When you do outside, you don't have to do anything special. You can actually use the cheapest crystals, or even you can do rocks. You can use leaves, you can use flowers, you can use nuts, anything you want to. Seeds, beans, whatever that you want to do. For the one that you will do in your house, if you want to, is going to serve you for protection, is going to serve you to keep the energy in balance, is going to serve you for whatever other frequent intention you want to add. Like, for example, maybe you want to have peace, maybe you want to purchase another house, maybe you want to be protected, or anything. Yes. I do suggest that the one that you do for your house, keep it simple and keep it in a sacred geometry form. It could be a circles or triangles or a square or something alike. For protection, a very simple way to add protection into a code, it is a circle and then a square outside the circle. Yes, because the square represents barriers and represents structure, and the circle inside represents these infinity, never-ending metamorphoses that we're having. So you can do as many as those as you want to. Another tip it is that represents that energy ends there. If you end with a line or a flow or a symbol like an S or something, it represents that wavelength it's moving, especially if you do letter alike symbols. But if you do symbols like that, lines, dots, circles, those things will represent that wavelength, it ends, that is just in that space. If it's a triangle, if it's a pyramid, pyramids will add power to your whatever. If you do pyramids in your chakras, for example, imagine, let's say that I'm working in my solar plexus, but in my other chakras are fine. So maybe I want to put the pyramid only in my solar plexus and maybe circles or codes in the other chakras. Yes. So explore and play around. Maybe you can do your grid, do one for your house, and then wait at least for a week to notice how does the energy in your house feels. My house is peaceful. you won't hear screamings or anything. It's just my kids and I and my cats, right? Being adored the whole time. So my house, it's really a house that keeps the peace. And it's like a very fairy-like house, like very me, right? Flowers and art and all of the things around. Something that you could do also for places, it is clean them. When you clean a place, you cleaned for the back part, whatever that is, if it's in your patio or you have a backyard, you go swiping all the way to the front, all the way until it ends. Just you could be praying, you could be using music, you put incense, you can put a candle or anything you want to. You can also burn bay leaves, you can burn cinnamon, anything that burns transmute, anything. Now, if you let's say that you have or someone have something very dark, you test it first, like a witchcraft or a demon alike or whatever thing that some people may have. You can test it. If that's positive, the best way to deal with dark magic, is with another magic alike solution, right? So in this case, what your code will be, oh my God, I forgot the word in English. How do you say, Sue, or used to say when a proxy, right? You will need to use a proxy of whatever you're clearing. Normally in magic, a ritual that you can do, it is, you have two rituals that I know that I need to investigate it, because I had a channeling with a person that had a course, because she was African American, and then the persons that bring their ancestors for Africa, they did like a ritual thing and offered their lives, their suffering from whatever generations, right? So we needed to clear that. And there are only two rituals that I know. One, it is you use garlic, honey, organic preferentially, garlic with one garlic, and as big as the garlic it is, the best. Just one thing, not the whole thing, just one. And roses, one rose, as many roses oil, whatever you have. You can blend the whole thing and you can place it on yourself and then wash it, right? This is one ritual that you can do. You can do this ritual. You match the garlic, because the garlic, remember, when when I learned this, I said, kind of like in the movies that they use garlic to take vampires out. Yes, this is why they use it in movies. It's used for vampire energies, courts, people that court you, whatever that is in your person. If you in your divine feminine, you can use that. Just put yourself all over. You can also take the garlic as if it's a pill, right? Drink it to purify yourself inside. And with the honey and the roses or the rose oil, you put it on yourself, your skin will look beautiful, and then you just cleanse yourself, wash away. And while you put this, why honey? Because honey comes from the love that the bees and the bee queen, they do to each other, right? So this is one thing that you could use. Another thing that you could use, it is, you can do a code. If it's a person, don't do it just because you want to help, because maybe you are inflicting on free will, right? If it's someone from your family, like my son or my daughter or something like that, then you can do that because you are the mom. But because your son or your daughter, let's say an example, were born from you, you can clear it on you, and then it will be clear on your siblings, no, on your descendants, right? And you should use something that is a proxy. You can use a crystal, but if it's something dark, you need to burn them and transmute it. So crystal may be best to use for a distance healing. But if it's something dark, then it's good to use something that you can burn. You can burn a code that you draw that represents that person. And in this case, you need to set, if the person gives you consent, or you as higher self because maybe your son or your daughter doesn't want to, or your husband or someone in your family feel guided to do, or the person asks you or is a client, then you can do that. Asking for permission, and then you say the name of the person 3 times into the code or the candle. Have you guys seen those candles that are being sold that have a woman body or a masculine body? Or I even seen like penises and things like that they do in candles. Well, this is magic too, because in the original ritual they would use wax, the wax from a candle, to do a body form, right? In Spanish, we'll say like a monito. Egyptians used to do that with mud, right? I remember in Atlantis and in Egypt that we would do bodies with mud, and then we will give them life. And then many of those men will be kind of like zombies, and kind of like mummies, but they will build things, and then when they finish, they will just go back to be mud again. And then our soul will come back to us. In Egypt, the pyramids were built like that. Priest will create a type of sound that it was so majestic, kind of like ohms, all at the same time, kind of like levitating in the space. And that sound will give life to all of those mummies that were not born from anyone. So it was just like a temporary thing. And in the same way, rocks and everything will have whatever shape that those priests will become one mind first, and then one mind with Gaia, and then one mind with whatever they want to morph. So if I want to change my cell phone or a spoon and bend it, I have to become the spoon. It's something that I remember. I haven't practiced, but I know I did it in other lifetimes. And this is how you change form. You detach from what you think you are, and you become the other. But in order to do that, you have to really believe, and you have to really concentrate. It was all about the mind. This is why they say reptilians change form, because reptilians, their power is their mind, right? This is why we have a reptilian brain, a reptilian body, the survivor, but also because they donate to us the thinking mind part. I think we have the form of Pleiadians, and then we have DNA of many beings. But in the majority, I think Pleiadians, they are the ones that are more alike to us, for what I have seen. So this is also how I think the, what's that called? Oh my God. When I channel, my mind just go channel too. The Peru thinks that they're like a stones that form patterns that they still don't know how the ancients built that. It's like a city in Peru that when you see it from the sky, it has forms made from rocks, right? That they don't explain themselves how they were able to do that, because they didn't have airplanes back then. That was long time ago. So they did that because when Atlantis was fallen, I remember that I didn't remember anything. I didn't remember. I had like a lost memory. but it was meant to be that way because it was too much power, and then the power was needed to be divided. But with what you can remember and what you can remember and what you can remember and what you can remember, we begin building rituals and things. And then some persons begin to practice to remember, and then the ones that were priestess were the ones that remember faster than other ones. And then those persons could still be magic things. I know persons that can do magic things. Really. I know them. There are persons that if they want you, they can make you do things because they want you. But it's because they become you and you give consent for them to enter because the resonance is so high that you feel that you want to submit to learn from that consciousness. And this is why I found that connecting with galactics. I know a lot of people said that it's a contactee and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure how many of that's true. Because when I see galactics in the astral plane, it's such a powerful energy that I feel like my body is going to explode. And I'm not in physical body. So probably the ones that people that have encountered, I don't know if they're really from other planes or they're just Earth from future or people changing form. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't, I mean, that may be real. It's not something that I have experienced. That could be real. But when I have had spaceship experience, I feel as if more than 20 minutes I can handle. I need to check like, and then it's scary because it feels as if they are in charge and you're not. So even though I know it's my family and I can recognize myself, my human part freaks out because they can manipulate you if you want, if they want to, if it's not a benevolent thing. I see myself that I just surrender, right? And then a part of me said, and then I have that inner dialogue, but I see that is benevolent because when it's a benevolent species, it won't do anything against your free will. I see, for example, that they wait for me to adjust and adapt. They're assisting me. They show to me what they are going to do. And then I said, okay, Gretel, if they are asking for permission and you ask your higher self is for the highest good, but you still freak out because it's a higher power. It's just, have you ever met someone that is so strong and charming or powerful that you just feel like, oh my God, kind of like to be the server of that person? It's just kind of like you feel instant admiration, like, oh my God, I just want to be your fun. It feels kind of like that innately. And I have felt this in humans, but in humans, when I'm aware, I'm acknowledged and then I say, leave, or don't enter my mind or whatever. And I have already learned that. But at the beginning, I remember that 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I was working once, I was listening to music, and then suddenly I answered, no, I'm single. And then I said, who the hell I'm talking to? And when I close my mind, I see a man that was asking, are you single? And I knew it was a human. And I said, why are you in my mind? Get out, right? And then I met a person in a group and it was a female, but it was a female that in her energy, she looked masculine. Yes. So probably the one I met, it was a fragment of the one entered my mind. I don't know. But those things can happen. There are humans that use this for the highest good or for their highest good personally. So this is not for you guys to be afraid or anything. This is just to be aware. And if something happened to you that you don't know, then ask with the energy, okay, what is this? What's going on? What do I need to do? What I learned from this? And how do I need to do so it doesn't happen? For example, many people have these things, maybe not everyone says, but like having something sexual doing something to you in the astral or in your dreams. When you have that, it could be many things. It could be someone that has a fantasy in you. It could be something for another lifetime. It could be a fragment of spirit, right? It could be maybe your own desire because maybe you haven't had any activity in a long time. I don't know. It could be many things. But if any of that happened, maybe an entity or whatever, then why that happened to me? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? And then you just cleanse yourself. I have had barely people that wanted to attack me, but barely when you have an entity, the entity really is trying to hurt you. I think what hurts it is the attachment, the burden that you carry. This is what hurts. It feels like draining. It feels like because you're carrying the thing, but it's not like the entity will attack you. I have never have seen anyone trying to attack me, but I have seen myself attacking back. So you cannot prepare yourself. I think, and in the astral, you can be anything. So I assume that we could have any form right here that we want to. We just don't do it because we don't believe. Because if I grew a new tooth when I was a baby, and I grew boobs when I was 13, then why cannot grow my hair or another new teeth or whatever? I could have, but I don't have the programming because in this plane we have collective agreements. This is something that I wanted to clarify. We have collective agreements. We have that are codes, that those are imprints that delimit at space. We have personal agreements, we have soul agreements, we have soul family. If you want to, in the next class, we can go and talk a little bit about that. Collective agreements, you can barely change them unless the whole majority agree to change with you, right? It's kind of like when there is a president election, whoever the majority agrees with whatever we're rules, like the rules you have in America, I have never been able to understand it. I feel like it's so weird the way a president is being elected, but anyway, then the rest just accept whatever it was manifested. Hold on, let me see what. But is it a collective agreement? Yes, a collective agreement, it is the boundaries that all of us in Gaia as a whole are setting for this moment in time, consciously or unconsciously. For example, COVID was a collective agreement. How you get out of collective agreement, you don't want to go through, you change timeline. But to do that, you have to change your frequency. Yes. For example, have you ever been in a different city than the one you are right now? When you change city, you notice that every city is going to have certain energy and the person is going to behave in a certain way. When you go to Canada, when I went to Canada the first time, I thought it was going to be like a second US. I said, this is it. I know it. But when I went there, it was so different that I was like, oh my God, they're not like America. They're completely different. When you go to Mexico, it's different. I had been in Venezuela. It was completely different. In every state, I went to different states in United States. I remember that I used to live in Texas, and then I traveled all the way from California. When I went to California, I didn't like the energy. I said, I didn't like it. I prefer the energy of Texas. And I wasn't awake then. But every place will set the energy measurement for the vibration that you have. So if the place is too low where you are, you're going to be constantly fighting and creating friction with the place that you are. So sometimes we're going to see a lot of light workers moving constantly because you're going high. And this is why you may change friends constantly or partner or things like that. If when you change, things change with you. But if they resist to change, it's a normal thing to attack back because at the soul level, you don't want to change. What do you keep inviting me to change with your energy? It's not a conscious thing, but people will attack back. It's kind of like a side effect, but it's not because you're a victim. It's because you're constantly pushing them to grow high. Yes. So it's things that you could do. You send love all the way to whatever happened today, whoever you speak with, whoever you taught, whoever emotion you have. This is something that I do for 2-3 years. It's imperative as a light worker to have energy hygiene. The best way to have your energy cleansing, it's in the morning and the afternoon, and I think it should be daily, at least once. Meditation can do that, any ritual that you want to do, but if you don't set the intentions when you wake up, you will be in the algorithm of whatever it is around you. Yes, I sense when I wake up, I sense that I am in Gretel, and then I begin to erase the things that I was doing in my travel, and sometimes I say, hold on, and then I went back when I want to remember, and when I'm conscious about it. And then I begin to set the intentions. If I don't have a lot of time because the alarm is buzzing, because I have to go to take the school to my kids, I said, higher self, you're in charge of the rest of the day. Guide me, something like that in general form. Or I do things like I said, I'm open for whatever is meant for me and I let go what doesn't belong to me. This is another thing that I do. Or simple affirmations that delimit where I want to go during the rest of the day or the energetic circle. Maybe things will happen because I'm going to be bounded to my environment. But when I set my intentions, I'm going to have more possibilities to go in the highest results than if I don't set my intentions. Intentions are commands for creation, and any intention you have, even the intentions we don't even know we have, we create them at the energy level. And I see this thing with me. I am going to say one thing, and then I heard a second thought that says another thing, and then sometimes I said, I didn't know I had that. Yes. Like, for example, something that I can share. Okay, it happens a lot. When I talk to my twin flame, when we connect, our energy quickly increase, and I feel like I'm channeling. So I'm going to say with him something like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then a voice will say, "Why didn't you call before?" And I will, oh, right, something like that. When you have things like that, this is cognitive dissonance. This is a distortion in your energy, which means the part for me that says, why you haven't called, is because it was fragmented, because it resists to surrender to what it is. Every time you resist to surrender to what it is, you, me, and everyone, we're gonna have a fragmented aspect of us that if that is not healed, it will become an entity with time. Every fragment of you will have a guide. Every ghost, every demon, shadow, whatever, will, even the AI will have a guide thing. It's kind of how the system works. And then there are observers that are neutral. Normally, I see them like angels, that it's like a completely neutral angels that are not on behalf of the dark or the light or whatever. They just observe and then take back to the source. And then, I don't know. It's just kind of like make sure you have divine order. And when something goes out to divine order, the system energetically will instantly rectify it to always be energetic in divine order. And then, therefore, in reality, things change. It's not easy in this frequency right now that we have to change your physical, but we can change that energetically. And this is why I always like to vote for codes, because let's say that I have resistance. Imagine I want to heal twin flame, and I said, oh, because you didn't call me, oh, I'm upset, whatever. And then I'm going to do a code because maybe this person of me has resistance to, I don't know, there is something that if I'm manifesting him like that, and this is just an example, why I'm manifesting that he hasn't called me? Why I need to have that experience? But maybe I'm not there yet. So maybe I can do a code and say, okay, whatever is going on that doesn't feel right, consciously, consciously, subconsciously, I can do a code, and the code represents the amount of energy that is missing for harmony. Yes, and because you understand everything, it's easier to rectify things that happen, that you are able to have the acknowledgement about the whys. And there are things that are meant to be in that way. They're meant to be challenging for some reason that we don't understand. So the easiest way, I think it is, use your tools. Acknowledge what works for you. Know what things you do that work out, and do it always for you. Because even when I would love to make choices for my kids or the collective or my mom or twin flame or whatever, I cannot. But I can from me. And when I change a perception, understand the whys, and I no longer feel triggered, and then healing can come completely at all levels. Because when you don't heal at all levels, whatever triggers you comes over and over and over and over. So if you want to, I would love for you guys this week, and let's activate it. Let's do an activation for the rest of the time. Do a code, a grid code. If you want to do the healing, I would suggest that you do it first for something that you want to heal, and then expand the same healing into whoever in the world has the same thing, or whoever aspect of your oversoul, right? For example, don't you notice that there are traits in families, like, for example, families may have heart disease, or may have financial problems, or may be ugly, or may have autism, or infidelity, or whatever. So whatever you're going through, expand it collectively into the ones that resonate with that. We're going to do it together and said, if it's meant to be, and they are ready for healing, so they can be that. Give yourself the permission to just say, okay, I want to do a grid work, and I want to activate my creator code dispensation with this code, but I also want this code for my intention. If I know how that code will look like, and just give yourself the opportunity and the permission to draw it, and use what you know. Don't get entangled. Mix numbers, letters, shapes with a pencil and a sheet. The more you like it, the better it is, but not necessarily. Make sure it's clean, make sure it has order, make sure it has symmetry. If you notice, this, for example, has consistency. Consistency means that it all looks even. Some more thicker than the other ones, but it looks even. It looks, I mean, I use a ruler, of course, but it looks clean, right? It's all in the same color. You can use mixed colors, no colors. Be creative to see how that look like. When I did this one, I had a question for answers. But then when I saw it, I said, oh, this looks like the head, and this is me, right? And this is higher self, and I think I'm grounding. And I assume this is my hips because I was born without a piece of my hip. So it's something that I have had pain sometimes in my life because I was born without the bone in my hips. And then when I saw it, I didn't know until I finished. For me, it's easier to picture in my mind and then draw it. And then I said, it looks like a tree. It looks like an eye. It looks like a house. And then just imagine that you are doing it minimalistic. If I would use just numbers and letters and shapes to draw myself in my house, what would that look like? Or healing my father, or healing my relationship, or healing addiction on Gaia, or whatever you wanted to do. When you do that, decide who is going to be your helpers. Ask one frequency for Gaia. Dragons are great for protection. You can do fairies, you can do plant trees, crystals, whoever you want to. And then another higher frequency that bridge from the source to the multi-universe, the universe, and then your own grid. It could be angels, it could be Pleiadians, whoever you want to invoke, it could be just your higher self. You can ask as many guys as you want to, but it's not necessarily, I think, if you say Christ consciousness, then Christ consciousness it is. But if you want to, you can say 11 millions of angels, 11 millions of dragons, or whatever. Give yourself the opportunity that your intuition guide you. When you do your grid, create your invocation and do it as a ritual. You don't have to do anything fancy. Just go with the flow. Your own invocation is your own prayer and your statement. How long that is going to be. And then every day, if you do it for a day or a week, then every day, check it a little bit. You can place your hands. You don't want to put your hands. You can put an incense, a candle, or anything, and you say your intention again. For me, I like to put my intentions written behind my grid. And normally, I would just put a crystal or a few crystals on top in a candle, and that's it. If you want to do more for Gaia, I do record a meditation that I do have to give it to the person that assists me to edit, to upload it, that will guide you. But I will record another one with the chakras of Gaia, where we're going to go and then you clear something, or we clear something together. Or if you want to, the next class, we can do grid work on Earth, on your countries, on my countries, on the economy, on the work, on the AI, transhumanism, whatever agendas. And then we can go and anchor ourselves with all of the kingdoms. You guys do it with me. Normally, persons that just do grid work, someone will channel and guide a group and will say, hey, we have to do healing for this agenda, or for this agenda, or for this agenda. And they will set a time and place to do that. Every group will do that. There are groups in whole of the world. People barely posted about this. It's more like from your own will, and people barely charge for it too. I think the only one that speaks about trends about grid work is Sandra Walter. If you want to follow or know more about you, or more about grid work, why grid work is a good thing to do. it's a good thing to do because we're bounded to the collective agreements. But when you work in general, it will also ripple light in your own place. If you guys don't have any questions, I would like to do at least 5 minutes of the activation for Do Your Grid work in the playlist about light codes and tutorials. I will add a guided meditation, and I add another a video talking about it that will explain a little bit more this class. Once I had the idea to do healing on bodies on water, when I used to leave lakes, yes, water will amplify, crystals will amplify, metals give power. If you do agree with organic or living beings like seeds, beans, nuts, flowers, leaves, things like that, you will ground the energy. So play with the frequencies. Let's says that that is you want to do a grid for the water in Ukraine, right? Maybe I wouldn't use water because water will amplify what they are going through. Maybe I would like to use organic stuff so I can ground the energy and peace could be. If it's something that, I don't know, like the fires on Hawaii, maybe in that case, you can just place a glass of water on your grid and then the water will amplify, right? To cleanse yourself, you can put a glass of water with salt, with Himalaya salt under your bed, and this is to cleanse you. Also, people that do a little bit more shamanic things, they use an egg as a proxy to push up dark things and then cleanse. What else? You can also put aluminum foil beneath your coat. I didn't know that. It's just coming true. And that will, what will do? It will increase the magnetic field of your coat. Oh, I didn't know that. It just came true. Okay, there are different grids. This is the crystalline grid, is the grid of every crystal on Earth. Then you have the awakened heart grid. You have the light grid, that it is the grid that help us to have dreams, astral travel, and to go out of body. And then you have the solar grid. The solar grid will have different functions. The solar grid will help you to transmute, will help you to awake yourself. It upgrades your DNA, and also it seeds consciousness. It awakens people. The sun awakened people, that's why we have like black cream that protects you, sort of protects you, because you can have cancer, but you can have cancer from everything. So I'm not sure if that exactly something that would happen, but the sun is good for us. After that, we have the ether. The ether, it is a grid that is not higher frequency and it's not lower frequency. It's all that it is on Earth in the timeline that you have. Every thought, every fantasy, every idea that every human in all times has ever created in their mind is going to be there. So you may have monsters, superheroes, Barbie toys, anime, a lot of things. And many people can have, I mean, there are collective things in the ether that can become, how do I say that in English? Can become something that people recognize that they are all going through the same thing. Like, for example, now they have the backrooms. I don't think it's something that you hear a lot in our own age of spirituality, but this is something that goes a lot on kids and teenagers. Backrooms, it's sort of like hallways from a hotel, that have a lot of doors that don't take you anywhere. So a lot of people now make videos saying that they had a dream. They were, I don't know, hole in a back room, right? Actually, it has been someone made a drawing from a face, for example, and posted. And then a lot of people that went into the same phase said that, oh my God, I had the same nightmare with the same being. Because we're all connected through internet. So now you will have maybe galactic trends in the ether. When you have entities attacks, the ether, it is the field, all that it is, where you connect to each other. You will have cores, you will have entities, you will have good things and bad things. So all of the shitty astral travels, I don't know if you have ever had an astral travel or like nightmares or entity encounters that you have that is scary. It's all in the ether. It's just like a playground for exploration, but it's not actually real. It's kind of like a training game. Like, for example, if you do a video game that has monsters on it, you know it's not real, but you can get scared anyway and freak out and cry or get upset or whatever for the moment you have the experience. This is not real. This is just something that you make agreements to learn something and something happened. But when you go in frequency a little bit higher, you pass by that ether and then you begin to travel into different planes that are more knowledgeable and enjoyable. If you have ever had things that happen to you in the ether, uh, don't take it that, how do I say that? Don't escalate it. Just get feedback from whatever, knowing what you know you shouldn't do anymore, and then try to change it. I feel like when you will cycle, you are going to have a period of training where you have a little bit of everything, just like to learn. Maybe it's clients, maybe it's entities, maybe it's frequencies, maybe it's energies, whatever your gifts are, just for you to have more experience. I think as a last recommendation, I would set that you always have agreed to anchor spirit in your house or wherever you meditate. You can just have like a code like this, small, where you meditate in a place that no one can see it. This is another thing. You are not supposed to have grids in a place that everyone can mess with the portal, but if you have it like in your house and then the person in your house knows you and knows that you do it, then they won't mess at anything. But you can also add that in your intentions. Like for me, I have one in the dining room, I have plenty in my room, and then the one that I did in my garden in front is not visible. I just ground the I just ground crystals all around it. And then I purchase houses like from dollar store, kind of like the houses that you use in Christmas decorations, kind of like that. I put 3 outside and I put those to the fairies so they will take care of my house. I said, okay, I saw them one day and I said, okay, if you're gonna live here anyway, just take care of the place and I'm gonna put houses for you, right? So I got those houses, so they look cute. And you can also put something on your garden if you want to, like a fairy or whatever that you like, that it looks good, just like to represent an anchor in frequency. You can also put a plant that can work too. You can put, like, for example, rosemary or sage or something, and then set the intentions for the plant to be your grid and to cleanse the house. If you don't program things that you use, then they will go and embrace whatever energy is in the field. That happens with us and also with the things that are around. So create agreements with the things you have. I think I took a long time. So let's do the activation for the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Any last question that you guys have about the grid? Let me see. Healing water supplies. Go check in the playlist. If you don't have it, if you don't have the playlist, let me know. The one that says slide codes and tutorial. I add few videos about codes, and I'm working on other ones that I will be uploaded along the day. Just to summarize, grid work, it is a portal that you open to a code. I like this one. Grid codes will normally be simple and minimalistic and more sacred geometry alike than a bunch of symbology or artistic. They could have numbers, they could have locations. You can, for example, add the latitude and the longitude. I don't know if I'm saying that rightfully in English. You can Google it and put the location, numerical location on your grid if you want to. I like to add binary numbers on these. I count them, just whatever comes through. You can do that. I suggest that for you to start, just merge a bunch of letters and numbers and shapes and ask, if I know how to draw my grid code with the intention that you do, how would that look like? And just give it a try. Do it for a week and notice how the energy in your house change. And then if in the day 3 you want to change your intention, you can change the intention, you can change the grid if you want to, but just try to see how things unfold. When you do a grid, you can do one for your house and also do another separately for something that you would like to do in the collective, or you can put them together in a separate containers. That can work too. Yes, it's like a healing Reiki. Exactly. It will stream life force on the intention that you have set for it. You can do the abundance code that you know and add it onto your grid and maybe work for your abundance and the abundance on the world. You just extrapolate it. For the grid is going to connect to your heart, and it will connect to the heart of every awakened light worker. This is done through the heart of Gaia and also through the heart of higher self. I will record a meditation, or we can do that next class. And also it grounds to the chakras of earth. You don't have to know where they are. Just set that in your intention. But if you want to know, is in Hawaii is the root, the sacral is in Peru, the plexus is in Uluru in Australia, the heart is in Glasbury, the throat is in Giza, the third eye change. But right now, the third eye, it is in this Stonehenge in England, and the crown is in Tibet. You can also add to the pyramids that are around the world. Just ask for sacred size to anchor, and the energy will do it by itself when you set intention for a grid. If you feel guided and want to empower more your grid, and if you know Reiki or any healing modality, it will be good that you do with your hands for whatever time you want to do that. But at least a few minutes every day, you will just recharge again or cleanse your grid. You don't have time, you can do sage, you can do an incense, you can put a candle. And every time you go on your grid, redo your intention. It could be the same intention that you just confirm it, or you can adjust it. I'm not sure that a grid should go for a very, very long time. I like to change them, but I know there are persons that they have purchased goods for me that they have them all of the way. all the time. So depend on the intention that you have set. See you guys next Friday. Next Friday, we're going to do the activation and we're going to journey together into the things that are going into the collective right now. Set your intentions and bring them into the meditation that we're going to do. If you want to join me, I am doing also Sunday meditation. I was guided to do healing collectively, so I am doing that. And do this grid for yourself this week. Do this code. Show me a picture. I would love to know how those codes look like. And yes, at the same time. And I want you to observe if there's any change, if it improve, and if what else you would like to do. If it's in your house, you can add water. If you put a crystal, you can put a glass of water and then a crystal inside to magnify. You can use whatever things you have or just your code. Yes, go with the flow and let me know how that works out for you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, your weekend. See you guys next Friday. Bye-bye.